Hi, I'm back with another edition of Ball's Boxing Predictions 51st. Well, this weekend, let's see what we have. First, on Friday in Russia, Yekaterinburg, there is a fight between Alexander Povetkin and Christian Hammer. Yes, it's a WBO International Heavyweight title fight. Christian Hammer, he is a solid fighter, but he's a European level fighter, I guess. His greatest victories were first against he beat then undefeated Erkan Teper split decision, and then he stopped after coming off the deck or the canvas. He stopped David Price, who gassed. That was earlier this year in the 7th round. His losses are to Tyson Fury. That was his last loss in 2015, and a couple more to Marius Swach, also by knockout in the 6th round. Fury made him retire after 8 rounds. Povetkin, he is the favorite here, of course. He's more like a world-class fighter than Hammer. More of a world-class fighter. Even though he has had some, controversy around steroids and all that stuff, but he still fights despite that. In his last fight, he went the distance for first time since losing to Vladimir Klitschko in 2013, and that was his first victory on points since beating Marco Huck in 2012. Well, of course, there is a chance of a knockout victory for Povetkin, but he may now be, he's 38 actually, so he's going towards the end of his prime, his best days. So this year he had one fight, and as I said, it went to .2 scorecard. So in the fight between him, Povetkin and Duhaupas, France, Povetkin had tested positive for steroids, and Duhaupas still went on. He took the fight. It was very brave, but he was knocked out. So then the next fight, which Povetkin, I guess he had to fight all clean of steroids. It was against Andrei Rudenko. And he is a good fighter, but he's not. He lost to Huey Fury and Lucas Brown, so he's not really world class. And what happens then? Povetkin went to his fight went the distance, and before that he was destroying everyone. Basically some good fighters like Mike Perez and Carlos Takam, Manuel Char, those guys. So I don't know, maybe this may go the distance, or maybe Povetkin manages to score a stoppage after the 8th round. That's most likely bet on points for victory for Povetkin. He will win, most definitely, yes. Yes. More Friday fights. There's nothing really that, well, couple of fights that may be somewhat interesting. Diego Gabriel Chavez, who you may know after as the guy who fought first against Keith Thurman. He gave him a good fight but was knocked out in the 10th round. Then he had a close fight against Brandon Rios but was disqualified, and then he drew against Timothy Bradley. So that was a really, good time for him. But since then, he's not really been in any high-profile fights. So he's now fighting a guy called Jamal James, who's from Minneapolis, and he only has one loss to Yordani Sugas, and he beat Yonut Dan in his last fight. So I guess Chavez is the favorite. Chavez, sorry. I don't know, he's 31, not that old. But I don't know really much about this guy, Jamal James. Hmm. He he was really beaten by Jordan Sugas, clearly, and that was his first fight. Ugas hadn't fought for 27 months, so that doesn't really, look good for Jamal James. So Chavez is the favorite here for sure. Yeah, he has scored quite many knockouts actually, 22 out of 26. So it may be it's a 10-round fight, but I think perhaps he will win by a knockout in the 7th round or something. Then there's a fight between John Molina Jr. and Ivan Redkach. And John Molina, he had a couple of good victories against Provodnikov and Mickey Bay and Henry Lundy earlier. But he's been kind of, his last fight was actually in this last December against Terence Crawford, and he was really just dismantled, by Crawford, and so now he's fighting Ivan Redkach from Ukraine. Redkach was really, kind of talented, or how do you say it? He lost to Dejan Zlatican, of Montenegro by a TKO, and then he lost to Tevin Farmer and to Argenis Mendez. So he proved not to be all that great, of course. And Molina has a puncher's chance, of course, even though I guess Red himself can hit, but I wouldn't say he's a really huge puncher. Most of his knockout wins are against subpar opponents. So I guess Molina will take it by, maybe a decision, or it was very impressive when Zlatican stopped Redka, because neither Mendez or Farmer were able to, or they didn't even knock him down. Even though Farmer is not a puncher, but still, no, well, neither is Mendez. Anyway, I think John Molina will perhaps have to settle for a victory on points, maybe. Yeah, that's it. And there's one more fight. I don't know. I'd rather not talk about it. It's not that good. There's Jesse Vargas fighting this guy who is just, more like more or less a tomato can. But then the big fight, so this weekend on Saturday in Laval, Quebec, Canada, is between Billy Joe Saunders and Dave Lemieux. Yes, great fight, really. This is a clash of different styles. Saunders, the boxer and a brawler, versus Lemieux, who is a pure puncher, of course, pure puncher, and also a brawler and an offensive fighter. I believe David Lemieux is the favorite here, and he was only, uh, let's look away from his those old losses to Rubio and Alcine. Those were both because of his lack of experience, you know. So since then, Lemieux has pretty much destroyed most of the guys. He has fought, beaten them convincingly, and he's only been beaten, of course, by Gennady Golovkin. He's destroyed Fernando Guerrero, Gabriel Rosado, Sam Nadal, Glenn Tapia, Curtis Stevens. So this guy really can fight. He's not just a great puncher. He just is very able, and he's still in his prime, 28. Billy Joe Saunders, he's also 28 years old. Uh, as I said, he's more of a boxer. It's not that he doesn't have any power, but it's more like, accumulative power. It's like he can only stop a really good opponent if he lands a lot of shots on him over a longer period of time. So it will be hard for him also to get a decision in Canada, Quebec, where it's a strong anti-English sentiment, I guess. It's a French-Canadian province, and Lemieux is very, even though he himself is not really French, but he's, very, the homeboy there, very popular and accepted, one of them. So yes, I believe this will be the end of Billy Joe Saunders, both as a champion, world champion, and as a serious, threat to the other middleweights. Because once you get knocked out by a guy like them, you are never the same again. So I do believe Saunders will give him. He will make him work hard for sure. I think so. But in the end, he just has too little, to come with against such a formidable fighter as Lemieux. He's just got a slight height advantage, and yeah, reach perhaps. I don't see his reach, but anyway, I think Saunders is a tough guy, of course, but perhaps he can last the distance if he fights very, very cleverly and cautiously and all that. But he will probably, most likely, get knocked down at least once. And and especially if he chooses to box defensively, then the judges will not like that, I think, and will just work against him. So Lemieux will, I believe, he will come forward, of course, and if Saunders chooses to come forward and trade with him, then that's the end of him. He will not. It will not go well for Saunders. So I don't know. This is either a TKO in the 10th round or something for Lemieux, or unanimous decision victory for Lemieux. Very, very little chance for Saunders to win or even get a draw. He would have to really, really dig deep and, you know, just be very defensive and smart, box smart to win. But even then, it's not guaranteed that he will get the decision. So I commend him for agreeing to go there to fight the challenger in his own in the challenger's homeland. That's really a brave thing, worthy of a champion. I wish more world champions today did that. So as I said, Lemieux wins. It's like almost 99% for sure, I'd say. Yeah. Then there is a fight between Antoine Douglas uh, and Gary O'Sullivan, also at the same card. Antoine Douglas, he was really a good prospect until he lost to Abdul Kurtzidze. He's currently, I guess, doing time. It's a middleweight fight, of course. Gary O'Sullivan, he lives in Cork, Ireland, and Ireland. He has only lost to Chris Eubank Jr. by a corner retirement and Billy Joe Saunders on points. So Antoine Douglas is the favorite here, I guess. Yeah, he is a puncher, it seems, and he just has a stronger resume than Sullivan, who lost both his biggest fights. He has beaten some guys that were, kind of decent, but never that great. So it's a 10-round fight for WBO Intercontinental title. Yeah, Antoine Douglas will perhaps win by a knockout, I guess, or something. Yeah, I think so. I'm just trying to see if there are any more good fights. Really important to talk about. I guess not. Yes. There were a few others, but on that Canadian card, they are not really interesting. Just one good fighter against some bum, some unknown fighter. So, in England, hmm, I wouldn't say there's anything. So I guess I better, wrap this up. It's going on too long anyway. So thanks for watching this and see you around. Bye bye.